5 more tips for Cricut. If you missed my very first video, 5 Cricut tips for beginners, it's the perfect place to start if you're a complete newbie. I'll put a link to it in the description so you can check that one out too, but this one's also going to be beneficial. If you're new here, I'm Brooke. I own Hooray Paper, where I sell SVG files that you can download to use with your paper cutting machine. I specifically work with the Cricut, but my files also work for Silhouette, Caesar, Scan and Cut, all of the other models that are on the market. I started this YouTube channel to answer my frequently asked questions in my shop, as well as provide tutorials and just different tips and tricks to make Cricut crafting easier. So let's get started in our 5 more tips. Tip number 1 is you can move objects between mats. And I've already set up this file of my H icon as well as some bows in different colors. So before you could never move things between mats, but now you can. And I don't know if this is new or if it's been there all along and I never knew it. I have no idea, but it exists now and I didn't know, so I figured maybe you didn't either. So we already know that we can move things around on our mats like this, but I was always frustrated, like if I had a piece of paper that was, let's say 9 by 9. So these 3 wouldn't fit on this mat, but I could click here and I could hide the selected, so I could completely delete them, but then I'd have to remember to go back and cut those 3 again. But now we can move object. This is huge. So you can even change the color if you want it to be one of these different colors, or just create a new one. And I guess maybe you could keep it the same. Let's see. Yes, you can keep it the same, and it just puts it on a completely different mat. So then you would go back to this one and move object to this mat, confirm, and move it where you want. And I am so excited about this. So you also, if you decided in this screen that you wanted it to be a different color, or maybe you're using like scrap paper, so you're not actually using the color paper that corresponds with the color that you had set it up as, you can move it to this board and then it will just change it to, oops, I can't get it, to that color, to the yellow color. So I think that's so exciting. Maybe you guys already knew that, but I am so excited about that. Tip number 2 is you can edit material settings. There are a ton of material settings, but if you want to change them, tweak them just a little bit, you can do that. So I actually just created a brand new account so that mine would look like anybody else's. So it opens up to these popular materials that most people use. And then there's also this tab here for bookmark. And this isn't the tip, but I thought I would just go over this really quickly because it kind of correlates with it. So if you want to bookmark materials that you're going to use all the time, so you can just, it's right there, you can click it, you don't have to search for it every time. You can, when you hover over these boxes, this little bookmark icon comes up, and if you click it and then you go to bookmarked, and then it's there for next time, and that's really, really nice. But let's say we were cutting some medium 80-pound cardstock, and it wasn't cutting quite enough. We thought the pressure just needed to be a little bit more. You can try right here, this pressure, you can change that to more, but that doesn't really do a whole lot. So let's say we wanted to cut with even more pressure than using this more feature. So we'll click Browse All Materials, and down here in the bottom left, click Material Settings, and then all of our settings are here. And let's do our medium cardstock. So we'll have to scroll down to it, and it shows us here that, what does that mean? That's the cut pressure, and if it's gonna cut, how many times it's gonna cut, and then this is which blade it's gonna use to cut. So let's go back to, I had it. Medium cardstock. Okay, so it says that the pressure is at 320 and it's only going to cut the one time, and it's going to use the fine point blade. So let's click edit, and for the over here we can change it if we think that it would be better if I cut twice. So it's kind of like if you're using an X-Acto knife with a ruler, and the first time you do it, it doesn't really cut through. You have to do it several times. So it's sort of like that. So the thicker the material, the better doing it a couple of times is. And honestly, I didn't realize that it went up to 9 times. That might be new. I've only ever done 2 times, and usually that's enough, but I don't cut anything like crazy thick. But you can change that if you want. And then you can change the pressure here to be higher or lower if you thought that it cut too much and then like it was cutting your mat too. And then you would just hit save after you made those choices. And I think in here you can change it to the deep point blade if that it's not giving me that option, but maybe certain materials that's an option. So then you would just save it, and then every time you clicked medium cardstock, it would be the settings that you chose. So that's really nice, especially if you have like some kind of custom paper, like maybe it's a special handmade paper that Cricut doesn't have any settings for. So if you can also add here at the bottom, you can put add new material, and then you can name your, like, you know, handmade paper and add all of your settings into it as well. So that's very, very helpful. Although I will say in the beginning, I used this a lot more, and now I feel like Cricut has gotten really good at having its settings exactly what you need. But just in case it doesn't, or like I said, if you have a custom paper that you want to add a custom listing to, you can do that. Tip number 3 is you can save projects to My Stuff. This one I've known about for a long time too, but I feel like there's probably people that don't know this. So if we go up here, there's this little folder called My Stuff, and in it we'll have every single saved project that you have ever done. So I'm going to save this project that I have up currently, and I'll just click save up here, and you can save it as a new, or if you already have this saved and then you change things and you want it to be a new version, then you would click save as, just like you would in Word or any other software that you're familiar with. So I'm going to put save, and so it was saved successfully. So we'll go to My Stuff, and here is our project. We can customize it in here or edit detail. And also in here in this folder, there's this collections, and we can add that to add different folders. So if we, let's say these were hair bows, I mean, obviously they're not hair bows, but let's pretend they're hair bows. So we'll have a hair bows thing, and this is saying it's currently unavailable. I should probably re-record this when it's back up, but you can add different, as many folders as you want, and then add all of your projects in there so that you can more easily find them. This is such a helpful tool, especially if you cut like the same thing over and over again. And even if you don't, maybe if you just have different like reference files, like a blank card or a business card or, you know, anything like that. So I use this all the time, of course, for my Hooray Paper Good shop. But it's just a helpful tip that I wanted to share. Tip number 4 is that you can add an offset to images directly in Design Space. I just learned this recently, and I think it's so cool. Even though I do it in Adobe Illustrator, but if you don't have a vector-based editing program, you can do this right here in Design Space, and I think that's pretty exciting. So you'll just select whichever graphic you want to put an offset on, and go up here to effects and hit offset, and then you can make it as big as you want or as tight or small as you want. You can even change the corners. Mine are all rounded, so that it's not really going to show you how that works. And if you want like it to be a very specific thickness, then you can add that up here and hit apply, and then there's your other cut file. I think that's so cool. Even though, I mean, I've always been able to do it in Illustrator, but I don't know, I still think that's neat that you can do it in here. Another thing too that I thought was interesting that I just realized was, and I don't know why you would, I mean, I could see reasons that you want it, but so if you want to cut out like these, you can apply, and then it cuts that out. I'm gonna hit Command Z because I don't really want to do that, but I thought that was a good option, a good thing to know that I just discovered that you could. So I thought those were helpful tips. Let's move on to number 5. Tip number 5, your scoring stylus needs replaced. Similar to my tip 5 and my first video about tips, the first one was you need to change your blade every so often because it does go dull. And so in this video, you also need to change your scoring stylus because it also goes dull. For the longest time, I thought, I don't know, it's a metal tip, like it's gonna last forever, but it does not. So look how old this scoring stylus is. And I wish that you could like really see like how dull it is. Maybe I'll have them let's see. And we put them, I don't know if you can tell. You kind of can tell. The top one is the new one. Can you see that it's a little more dull on the bottom? So I used this one for probably 9 years or something. And I remember at one point I was like, why is it so hard to fold? I was putting the ruler on the edge of the score line to fold things over and thinking, I remember when I first started, I thought I could just fold. Like, why can't I do that anymore? And then I thought, I wonder if this goes dull. And so I just ordered a new one. And oh my gosh, this one is completely useless. I don't know why I even still keep it. Maybe just, I don't know if I ever wanted to make a video to talk about it. So these are 2 others that I've had since, and then this is one that I just got last week actually. And I looked back in my order history, and I don't know which one of these it was, but I ordered this last one. It was almost a year. It was like the same month. So it was almost a year apart. So for me, I use my Cricut probably 5 days a week. So getting a year out of the new one is pretty good. So, and also they finally changed their logo. They updated this as the new logo. So now I can know that this one is the newest one and these are the older ones, because these 2 I would sometimes get mixed up. But it makes a huge, huge difference. So change your scoring stylus. If you score, if you are following me, I'm assuming that you are one of my customers, and pretty much all of my files have score lines in them. So I thought that was a pretty good tip. And I don't know why I'm keeping all of these. But anyways, update your scoring stylus. I hope that this video was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to follow along for more tips and tricks and just fun paper crafting. That sounded kind of cheesy.